Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Apa khabar Prof?
Baik. Apa khabar? Ni Ustaz Firdaus dan Bapak Ali, apa khabar?
Alhamdulillah, Prof.
Alhamdulillah bikhair.
Alhamdulillah. InsyaAllah, tonight we will finish our syllabus for the purpose of the exam. This is the last topic and it will be on the final exam, insyaAllah. So this topic is quite an advanced topic. It's called multivariate analysis. When we talk about multivariate, we're talking about a framework having many variables. And one of the advanced analysis is called partial least squares structural equation modeling. In short, PLSM. So before we before we can analyze our data using any statistical package, we need to we need to have a complete and proper and justified framework at PhD level. Minum dulu. So I believe those of you who have decided to use quantitative analysis, you have finished writing chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. And in the chapter 3, if you decide to use quantitative analysis, right, you will have theoretical framework of the study. Once you have the theoretical framework of the study, what you need to do is to construct the questions for the questionnaires, right? So in your framework, for example, let's discuss. Let me show you an example of framework. I think I have shown many times. This is an example of the framework, right? Where you have many variables. So that's why it's called multivariate. So in your framework, you have many variables. Once you have this framework, you need to you need to explain how you are going to measure each of the variables. In statistics, we call constructs. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 constructs. So these are called constructs because it is something that is not tangible. We cannot see. Yeah? For example, attitude. We cannot see the attitude. Yeah, subjective norm. It's called construct. Perceived behavioral control, moral obligation, religiosity, intention, niat, something that we cannot see. So that's why it's called constructs. However, we can measure. Okay, in order to measure, we need to define each of the constructs and explain how we are going to measure. Once we have the items or the questions in the questionnaire, then we need to send to respondents, right? And we get back our data and we key in the data, then we try to analyze. So can you see?
No, Prof.
Ekonom.
Tidak tampil.
So we now reach this topic. This topic is about how we are going to analyze the data that we collected, right? And this is the advanced statistical analysis. It's called the second generation statistical analysis. If you know SPSS, yeah? SPSS can analyze using multiple regression analysis. We call OLS, yeah, ordinary least squares, which has some limitations. So for PhD, we would recommend that instead of using ordinary least squares, multiple regression analysis, we use this partial least square structural equation modeling. I will try to explain why we need to use this one for particular research, especially at PhD level. If you decide to use quantitative analysis, then this is the better analysis compared to the ordinary least squares, multiple regression analysis. So maybe some of you have no knowledge or have no background on ordinary least squares. Yeah. Anybody raise your hand? Anybody who has no background about ordinary least squares, multiple regression analysis? Anybody? You can raise your hand.
Me, Dok. Prof, belum ada pengalaman.
Okay. Jadi
Biasa
kalau
kita bikin cuma kualitatif aja.
jadi kita macam lompat Jadi belum cuba OLS tiba-tiba mau guna PLS. Macam mana? Macam kita belum pernah naik motorcycle, belum pernah menunggang motorcycle, tiba-tiba nak menunggang kereta. Boleh ke tak? Jawapannya boleh saja. Boleh saja. So if you have not used OLS, it's still alright to learn and use PLS. If you decide to use quantitative analysis, some of you might use qualitative for your PhD thesis, is alright. So why we want to use PLSM? Okay, PLSM is appropriate when our models are complicated in the sense that it has many variables. It not only has dependent variables, independent variables, moderating variables, mediating variables. So it's complex. When the structural model is complex, then this is suitable. Yeah. So when the structural model is complex with many models and the relationships are complex, yeah, ada independent variables, dependent variable, moderating, mediating, then this model is quite appropriate. So according to Hare, 2011 PLSM is more appropriate, lebih sesuai when extending an existing theory. So that's what we do at PhD level. We try to extend the theories that have been previously studied. So, and also the advantages of PLSM is that it can estimate measurement models and structural models simultaneously. Mungkin ada yang belum pernah dengar apa dia measurement models, apa dia structural models. What are measurement models? What are structural models? Basically, measurement models is done or is assessed or is performed. We perform assessment. We perform measurement model. There are two things. One is measurement model. The other one is structural model. Basically, measurement model is performed to test validity and reliability. Kalau PM10, PM10 Malaysia, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, jadi dia buat undi percaya di Parlimen. Why? Buat undi percaya to test for the validity, untuk menguji keabsahan. So, bila jadi PM, kadang-kadang orang argue, dia ni dapat majority support ke ataupun tidak. So untuk itu kena ada measurement, kena buat apa ni? Undi percaya, undi percaya untuk menguji keabsahan. Contoh begitulah. So dalam in PLSM, before we test the model, we need to estimate measurement models. We need to test or assess or perform the measurement models. Kita kena buat model pengukuran terlebih dahulu untuk menguji keabsahan. Okey. Kemudian selepas model itu lulus ujian keabsahan, barulah boleh dibuat structural model. Structural model ialah untuk menguji the significance of the relationships among the variables. Jadi ini jadi PM10 ya, sebelum dia boleh melaksanakan tugas sebagai Perdana Menteri dengan selesa, dia buat undi percaya ya untuk menguji ya sama ada dia mendapat majority support atau tidak. Ada siapa yang ikut politik Malaysia? Tak ada. Okey, jadi dalam
So-so ni, Dok.
ya, tidak ikut ya. Ustaz Firdaus
Tak
tidak.
berapa sangat.
Oh, tak berapa sangat. Okey. Tidak mengapa.
Ustaz Firdaus sudah change ke Indonesia, Dok.
Ya.
Ustaz Firdaus sudah ke Indonesia, beliau.
Ustaz Firdaus sudah ni ke Indonesia. Jadi kalau
Indonesia Raya.
sebut Presiden Jokowi, Ustaz Firdaus sangat arif lah. Tapi kalau sebut PM Anwar, mungkin Ustaz Firdaus kurang tahu. Jadi bila kita nak menguji ya sesuatu hubungan di antara pemulih ubah, sebelum kita dapat menguji, kita perlu menguji dahulu adakah pemulih ubah itu sah, ya, valid and reliable. Jadi itu tujuan kita buat measurement models. Dan yang terakhir, structural models itu adalah untuk menguji the significance of the relationships among variables. Jadi tujuan kita uji the significance of the relationships adalah untuk menerima ataupun reject, to accept or to reject our hypothesis. Setiap kajian kuantitatif perlu ada hipotesis ya. Kalau tidak ada hipotesis, bagaimana kita boleh mendatangkan bukti empirik ya untuk to accept or to reject sesuatu hipotesis. Okey, jadi perlu faham ini untuk tujuan final exam dan insya-Allah towards the end of January next year we will have a workshop. Workshop ini tidak wajib ya. Workshop on PLSM ini hanya untuk pelajar yang calon PhD yang akan membuat kajian yang berbentuk kuantitatif. Kalau siapa buat kualitatif, tak perlu ikutlah. Okey, baik. Jadi, so the data analysis using partial least squares structural equation modeling ni melibatkan 3 stages. Involves 3 stages. Jadi, I put in red to show that it is very important to understand. For the purpose of final exam. So, the first stage is data screening process and diagnostic test. The data screening process and diagnostic test is to test whether the data is suitable or not. Kalau kita nak masak kari ikan, katakan kita ada banyak ikan dan kita mau masak kari. Apakah perkara pertama yang kita perlu lakukan? Ustaz Firdaus, kita nak masak kari ikan. Di Malaysia kari ikan sangat
Dia punya rempah-rempah nak kena standby dulu.
Oh, kita standby rempah dulu. Okey. Bagaimana dengan ikan tersebut?
Bawang, cili hijau, cengkeh, bunga lawang.
Bagaimana untuk dengan ikan tersebut? Apa yang kita perlu lakukan dengan ikan-ikan tersebut?
Ikan tu kita siang dia, lepas tu kita letak limau parut sikit. Tabur kan, kasih biar 15 minit, biar tak honey bau dia.
Okey, sebelum tu kita kena pergi beli di market
Correct.
Masa kita beli di market, apa yang perlu kita buat?
Tawar-menawar, Dok.
Okey, selain pada itu?
Pilih ikan yang terbaiknya.
Betul, kita mesti pilih ikan yang terbaik. Jadi itu langkah pertama kalau kita mau masak kari ikan kita mesti pilih ikan yang terbaik. Dan kalau ikan tersebut sudah lama, kita jangan beli kita jangan pilih lah. Jadi sama juga dengan data analisis. Perkara pertama ialah kita mesti buat dipanggil data screening process. Dalam data screening process ini kita akan pastikan sama ada data itu bermasalah atau tidak dan sama ada data itu kita kata boleh digunakan atau tidak. Itu tujuannya. Jadi sama dengan kita pergi di market, mungkin ada ikan yang sudah busuk, mungkin ada ikan yang sudah lama. Jadi kita jangan pilih. So kita pilih ikan yang sesuai untuk dibuat kari saja. Kalau ikan tu terlalu kecil, ikan tu hanya sebesar jari jadi kita jangan pilih. Jadi begitulah. In the first stage, we need to do the data screening process and diagnostic test. Data screening process bertujuan untuk melihat sama ada data itu apa ni, wujud data yang wujud missing data atau tidak. Missing data bermaksud sebahagian daripada responden tidak menjawab sebahagian daripada soalan. Kalau begitu, kita akan bermasalah jika ada responden yang tidak mengisi semua atau tidak menjawab semua soalan. Dan kita perlu buat diagnostic test. Diagnostic test ini adalah untuk dalam data screening process. Data screening process, there are two steps. Number one is to test for missing data, and number two is to see if there are outliers. Missing data means it's possible that some respondents do not answer all the questions. And then we need to see if there are outliers. There might be answers from respondents that are different from others. Ya. Misalnya ada responden itu dia jawab semua, dia circle 5 saja. Ya. Ataupun semua dia circle 3. Semua circle 3. Contohnya, ataupun semua circle 2. So these are called outliers. Answers by respondents who are quite different from others. Saya nak cuba habiskan kelas ini secepat mungkin. Mungkin kita akan stop sangat awal. Mungkin kelas ini sebab saya ada sikit tugas. Baik, so in the first stage, we need to do data screening process and diagnostic test. Why? Because we want to test whether the data is suitable or not to be used for our analysis. Ya, macam ikan lah, kita kalau ikan tu sudah busuk kita buang, mungkin perlu dibuang. Kalau ikan itu terlalu kecil, mungkin tidak sesuai dibuat kari. Ya. Atau ikan itu sudah hilang isinya, tinggal tulang saja. Bagaimana mau makan? Itu contohlah. Itu kalau mau masak kari ikan. So itu perlu dilakukan terlebih dahulu. Kemudian in the second stage, we want to assess the measurement model. Jadi tujuan assessment of the measurement model adalah untuk menguji keabsahan, to test for the validity and reliability of the instruments. Jadi kalau dalam kes ikan tu kita bawa balik ikan di rumah, apa yang kita perlu lakukan, kita perlu siang dia dan perlu melihat lagi sekali ikan-ikan tersebut, adakah ikan itu sesuai atau tidak. Mungkin sebahagian daripada ikan itu perlu dibuang lagi jika setelah disiang itu kita sudah proses tapi kita lihat ikan itu tidak sesuai untuk dimasak. Jadi in the second stage, we want to determine that the variables, the constructs of variables, contohnya attitude, all the questionnaire items, soalan yang kita tanya dalam berkaitan dengan attitude itu, adakah pass the test of validity or not. Kalau tidak, we need to do something. And then lastly, if all the variable test all the variables, pass the test of validity and reliability, then we can run the data and we say we run the structural model to test whether the relationships are statistically significant or not. So, kita ulang semula. Mungkin tadi kurang faham, jadi kita ulang semula. First stage, data screening process and diagnostic test. Before we do the analysis, all data needs to go through the data screening process. So, the data screening process ini involves detecting missing data. We need to test whether there are missing data or not. Means it might be possible some of the respondents do not answer all the questions. Then we say we have the problem of missing data. And outliers means there are some respondents who answer the question and the answers are outlier. Outlier means very different from others. Jadi punya jawapan pelik sangat. Contohnya semua dia circle 5 saja. Ini ajaib ini. Itu dipanggil outlier. So we need to do this test. So to test for missing data, the researcher need to check whether whether there are some questions that are not answered by the respondents. Mungkin ada soalan responden terlupa jawab ataupun tidak menjawab Itu dipanggil missing data. Kemudian untuk outliers untuk cek jawapan yang pelik mungkin ada responden memberikan respons yang ajaib Ini biar betul jawapannya sangat berbeza dengan jawapan orang lain So kita boleh guna untuk uji outliers ini, untuk uji jawapannya ajaib ini, kita guna Mahalanobis distances D-square ni. D-square ni when we analyze the data using Smart PLS, then it will give the statistic of D-square. Kita tengok saja kalau nilainya 2.5 in small samples. Tapi biasa untuk PhD kita ada large sample. So if we have large samples, if the value of D-square is 3 or 4, then that means ada masalah outlier. Ada response yang agak ajaib agak pelik So kalau ada respon itu pelik, apa yang kita perlu buat? Respondents punya jawapan itu ajaib betul. Sangat pelik jawapannya. So what do we do?
Erase.
Paling senangnya kita erase saja, kita delete saja. Itu paling senang.
Ya, di-delete.
Sebab kemungkinan responden tersebut tidak menjawab dengan jujur. Dia hanya tik saja tanpa berfikir atau tanpa memahami soalan. Itu kalau kita rasakan responden itu memang tidak menjawab dengan sejujurnya, then we throw out that questionnaire. Another possibility is mungkin itu jawapan yang jujur. Bagi dia setuju semua. So dia tik semua 5. So dalam kes itu, kalau pengkaji merasakan responden itu jujur dan itu jawapan yang jujur, maka it should be retained. Kita kekalkan, tak payah buang. So kita susah jugalah mau buat keputusan, tapi keputusan yang kebanyakan orang buat ialah kalau dia rasakan jawapan itu tidak jujur, maka dia boleh throw out, dia throw out lah. Dia tak gunalah jawapan oleh responden tersebut. So those respondent is deleted. Okay, selepas kita buat data screening process, dan kita kena buat ujian normality, ujian linearity, dan multicollinearity. So apa dia normality? Normality ni kalau kita collect data dan kita buat satu graf, ya. Normality bentuk dia macam ni. Saya tak pandai lukis sangat. So normality ni dia berbentuk macam bell shape, ya. Macam apa, loceng zaman dahulu. Kita dulu sekolah rendah, masa kecil-kecil ada loceng, ya. Saya dulu ada loceng. Ting ting ting. So dia bentuk macam itu, ya. So ini contoh data yang berbentuk normal. Ini data yang tidak normal. Ini tidak normal. Apa maksud data yang normal? Data normal bermaksud data yang mana taburannya mana ni? Data yang bermaksud taburannya sekitar purata adalah evenly distributed, adalah diagihkan secara even, ya. Maksudnya bilangan yang di sebelah kiri daripada tiang ini dan bilangan yang sebelah kanan adalah hampir sama. Okay. Yang tiang tengah ni dipanggil mean. Ya, mean ni dari segi statistik bermaksud average, ya, nilai purata taburan tersebut. So this is the mean, and to the left and to the right of the means, the data is normally and evenly distributed. Saya tak pandai lukis, dia sepatutnya cantik macam itu. Okay, yang ni tak normal sebab this is the mean, yang tiang ni adalah purata. Kemudian kebanyakan data dia banyak di sebelah kanan, daripada mean. Yang sebelah kiri itu sedikit saja. So dipanggil skew to the right. Skew to the right. Ini pula mean dekat sini. Most of the data is to the left, sebelah kiri, ya. So dia tak normal. Banyak jawapannya, banyak data yang di sebelah kiri, yang sebelah kanan sedikit saja. So this is not normal. So we want the data to be normal. Okay, itu maksud normal, ya. Means the data is normally distributed around the mean. Okay, linearity bermaksud jika kita lukiskan, ya, kita lukiskan data itu, so dia ada satu bentuk pattern yang linear macam ini, hampir linear, ya. Ini contoh yang tidak linear, ya. Ini tidak linear, turun naik tidak linear. Linear means line, satu garisan yang hampir lurus, ya. Ini tidak lurus, ya. Ini macam ular yang dipukul, ya. Ini tidak linear lah. Ini linear. So we want the data to be linear, and we want to check whether there is no multicollinearity. Multicollinearity bermaksud pemboleh ubah di dalam framework mempunyai hubungan yang kuat atau high correlation, mempunyai korelasi yang tinggi di antara pemboleh ubah bebas. So, mana contoh? Oh, tidak ada contoh. Sekejap. Ini boleh lihat ini mana dia? Boleh lihat ini ya? Boleh?
Nampak. Stem PNS.
Boleh nampak ni variable ni.
Nampak.
Attitude, subjective norm, perceived behavioral control, boleh nampak
Nampak. Attitude, subjective, norm, dan lain-lain.
Yeah. So multicollinearity exists when independent variables, in this case we have 4, attitude, subjective norm, perceived behavioral control, and moral obligation. We have 4 independent variables, and there is high correlation between the independent variables. Contohnya attitude dengan moral obligation ni dia ada high correlation. High correlation means if one variable changes, the other variable also changes. One goes up, the other one also goes up. One goes down, the other one goes down. So daripada perspektif statistics, jika ada multicollinearity means one of the independent variables will affect the other independent variables. So this one is something that we don't want to happen. Okay. Sebab apa? Bapak Fakri cuba jawab soalan. Cuba saya tanya soalan. When one independent variable has high correlations with other independent variables, yeah. It means if one goes up, the other ones might go up also. Why is that a problem? Kenapa? Kenapa itu satu masalah? Ini soalannya agak tinggi lah aras pemikirannya. Tapi cuba jawablah.
Saya tahu.
Okay, ideanya begini. For example, in this one, we want to test whether attitude has influence on intention or not. Betul?
Ya.
Okay. So kalau attitude is influenced by other variables, then itu masalah lah. Sebab kita cuma nak tengok the influence of attitude on intention. We don't want to see the influence of subjective norm on attitude. Itu sebab kita nak pastikan there is no multicollinearity. Kalau ada multicollinearity, katakan moral obligation mempengaruhi or influence attitude. Ya. So so we want to test whether attitude has significant influence on intention, right? So we don't want kita tak mau ada gangguan, betul? Kita tak mau ada gangguan. So kalau moral obligation and then dia mempengaruhi attitude, maksudnya dia ada di situ gangguan. Nak bagi senang faham macam itulah. So we don't want any multicollinearity. Macam kalau ini mau gaduh dengan ini ya. Okey, kita mau lihat ini gaduh dengan ini. Contoh ya. So yang lain jangan kacau lah. Macam itulah. Untuk senang faham ya. Boleh ya? So we don't want any high correlation among the independent variables. Yeah, otherwise it will call spurious relation. Spurious relation means while this one is expected to influence this one, there are other variables that also influence this one, right? So that is called spurious relation. Ini very advanced statistics ya. Dia ada pembuktian dari segi statistik. Tapi saya tidak mau pergi dengan detail sangatlah. Just bagi dapat idea sikit sebanyak pun sudah cukup lah. Because some of you might not have a statistics background. Okay, so we are done with the first stage. So this one is on the exam, the one that I put in red. How do we know that multicollinearity exists or not? There are two ways. One is if the tolerance value, we call tolerance value, is less than 0.1, then multicollinearity is said to exist. Yeah? The tolerance value is given by SmartPLS. Yeah? So if this value is less than 0.1, then ada multicollinearity. The other way is kita tengok nilai VRF. Ya? VRF is also given by SmartPLS. So if the value is less than 10 VRF, then multicollinearity exists. Kalau nilainya kurang pada 10 VRF, maka ada wujud multicollinearity. So yang ni, this one we will have a practical workshop to go through this process. But tonight we will just discuss theoretically. Kena faham teori dahulu, kemudian baru kita practice ya. Any questions on the first stage? So let me repeat, in the first stage, we do the data screening process to test for missing data and outlier. And then we test for linearity, normality, and multicollinearity. Katakan wujud multicollinearity. Then macam mana kita mau buat? Fortunately, SmartPLS will do the remedial measures. SmartPLS akan memberi obat secara automatik. So itu bagusnya SmartPLS. Kalau kita demam, so katakan kita demam, macam mana mau buat? Kita kena makan Panadol lah. Untuk remedial measures-nya ialah Panadol lah. So kalau kita ada multicollinearity, macam mana mau buat? Kalau guna SmartPLS, dia akan beri Panadol kepada data tersebut. So kita tidak perlu buat apa-apa. Itu bagusnya lah. Dia akan sendiri mengubati masalah tersebut. Kalau guna OLS, dan kita kena buat, there are some remedial measures. Ada langkah-langkah untuk mengubati ya, masalah tersebut. Itu bagusnya Smart PLS. Alright, in the second stage, we do the assessment of measurement model. Basically, kejap, nak minum sekejap. Welcome Dr. Saiful. Dr. Saiful sudah ada, baru nampak.
Ya, maaf Prof, tadi ke masjid dulu.
Ya, ya. Alhamdulillah. Malam ni saya cuba habiskan secepat mungkin sebab saya ada sedikit kerja. So we will try to finish the class as soon as possible. Sebab tu tak ada break yang malam ni. Sebab kita akan berhenti awal. We will stop early. So in the second stage, we do the assessment of measurement model. Dalam langkah ini kita akan cuba menguji sama ada setiap soalan, setiap questionnaire item, setiap soalan yang kita tanya dalam questionnaire itu adakah valid, we want to test whether setiap soalan dalam questionnaire itu perlu dikekalkan ataupun perlu di-delete. Katakan dalam untuk to measure attitude, ya kita ada katakan 18 soalan tentang attitude. Jadi di peringkat ini kita akan tanya diri kita, adakah kesemua 18 soalan itu boleh diterima atau tidak? Itu perlu delete atau tidak? Itu tujuan kita buat assessment of measurement model. Jadi, adakah perlu delete atau tidak? Tidak perlu delete sekiranya the construct ataupun the variable pass the test of reliability and validity. Kalau dia pass the test of reliability and validity, tak perlu delete. Itu secara umumnya begitu. Bagaimana untuk menguji reliability? In Smart PLS, there are two measures. Ada dua pengukur. Two measures. Number one is composite reliability to test for the reliability. So kita tanya, we ask ourselves, for example, the construct that we the construct that we include in our framework. We send out the questionnaires, we got the reply, we input the data. Next question we want to ask, is the construct valid? Is the construct reliable? Okay. That is the question. Kalau tak valid dan tak reliable, kita akan bermasalah lah. Untuk siapa yang buat quantitative analysis, ini sangat penting. So how do we test for reliability? We use composite reliability. So this is the formula. When I was a student, we were required to compute. The professor will give us some data, and we need to compute, memorize this formula, and compute, and get the value of composite reliability. But for you, I'm very nice. I will not ask you to compute. In fact, if you don't memorize this formula, it's all right. I'm not going to ask you on the exam. All you need to know all you need to know is if the value that is computed, it will be computed by Smart PLS. So if the value is if this value we call composite reliability rho C composite reliability. If the value is greater than 0.7, then we say yes, the construct is reliable. Okay. If it is less than 0.6, then we say that the construct has low reliability if it is less than 0.6. So when we do the analysis, we want to make sure that composite reliability is greater than 0.7. Okay. If it is between 0.6 and 0.7, maybe we need to delete certain questionnaire items. Okay, question. Boleh, If composite reliability is above 0.7, yes, it passed the test of reliability. If the value is less than 0.6, then it's not really reliable. So if it's between 0.6 and 0.7, we might want to delete some of the questionnaire items to improve the composite reliability. Susah tak nampak we don't have time, unfortunately, to do the actual data analysis. So we just talk about the theory first. And inshallah, in late January, we will have a workshop, where we analyze the real data. Okay. Next one we want to ask ourselves is about the validity of the construct. The construct that we set out to measure valid atau tidak. PM10 valid atau tidak. Jadi kena buat undi percaya untuk menguji keabsahan PM10. Jadi Dr. Saiful tahu apa yang saya cakap ni? PM10 Malaysia telah membuat undi percaya di Parlimen untuk menguji validity. So kalau tak tahu, tidak mengapa, tidak akan masuk exam.
Tak tahu, Prof.
So the point is, before we analyze, we need to check for the validity of the construct. So for example, attitude, is it valid or not? So how do we test whether the construct is valid or not? We look at the value of AVE, average variance extracted, or AVE. There is a formula, you don't need to memorize. Okay. When I was a student, we were required by the professor to memorize, and then we were given data. Then we have to compute the value of AVE manually, using calculator. Okay, it's very difficult. But now Smart PLS will do it for us instantly, within seconds. So, the important thing to remember is AVE must be greater than 0.5. So Smart PLS will compute for us, and then if the AVE is higher than 0.5, then the construct is valid. Okay. So if the constructs are valid and reliable, then we want to do the third stage and the last stage. Third stage ni the assessment of structural model. Pengujian pengujian model struktur. So ini paling penting. At this stage, we want to examine whether the relationships are significant or not. For example, we have hypothesis. Attitude has a significant influence on the intention to pay income zakat, right? So we want to test if the relationship is significant or not. That's what we do in the last stage. And then we assess R square and adjusted R square. The R square should be between 0 and 1. And adjusted R square also should be between 0 and 1. The higher the R square, the better the model. So this is the formula to compute R square. This is the formula. So if the adjusted R square is high, then the model is good. That means it has a predictive power or predictive accuracy. The model is good. So how high is high? So paling rendah 0, paling tinggi 1. So it depends. In social science, if the value is greater than 0.4, it is considered as high. Okay. If it is less than 0.4, then we might ask ourselves whether the model is good or not. That's all. Ada satu lagi. Mediating. Moderating. Okay, yang ni juga masuk exam. Okay, moderating. So, what is moderating? So, in this case, Islamic religiosity is the moderating variable, right? So, what is a moderating variable? Moderating variable or moderating construct refers to the third construct, which changes the relationship between two constructs from not significant or less significant to become significant relationships. Okay, look at this. Attitude and intention. Let's focus on attitude and intention. It's possible attitude is not significant, right? It can be significant, it can be not significant. Let me repeat. It can be significant and also it can be insignificant, right? So why we need moderating variable? Sometimes this moderating variable will strengthen the relationship. So it's possible attitude, suppose attitude is not significant. Yeah? It's possible if we put Islamic, if we include Islamic religiosity as moderating, the Islamic religiosity will strengthen the relationship between attitude and intention to pay zakat. So that is the construct of moderating. So moderating construct refers to the third construct, which changes the relationship between two constructs from not significant to become significant. And these are the steps. I'm not going to ask you about the step. Any construct is valid as a moderating construct if the interacting variable has a significant relationship with the endogenous variables. So when we use smart PLS, it will tell us if the moderating variable has a significant moderating effect or not. So we ask ourselves, is religiosity a valid or significant moderating variable or not? Okay, so how do we know that Islamic religiosity is a significant moderating variable? So if it is significant or it is valid, if the interacting variable has a significant relationship with the endogenous variables. Endogenous variables here refers to attitude and intention, right? So we can test whether Islamic religiosity has a significant moderating effect on the relationship between attitude and intention. Itu boleh diuji lah. Tapi kita tidak akan discuss di sini. Kita akan discuss di bengkel lah. That means it can be tested. Untuk to discuss the statistics part, I think it's better discussed in the workshop, because I want to avoid statistics. It has to be proven by statistics. So those are the topics that will be on the final exam from the beginning until tonight's class. So there'll be 5 questions, and I will give you 48 hours to answer. Most of the answers can be found in these notes, in these notes. But please do not copy paste, write your answer in your own words. And don't share your answers with other students. So if you know the answer, keep it to yourself. Don't try to be a good person. I want to try to be a good person. I want to share my answer. I want to help my friend. So it is not the right kind of help. Tolong macam tu tak dibenarkan. So you cannot discuss with your friends. You cannot share your answers. Everybody is on their own, but it's open book. You can refer to any research textbook. And we will have the exam this Saturday at 9 a.m. Malaysian time. Is it okay? And you'll be given 48 hours. Yeah. I will give you the link. The first, you need to attend the Zoom link. I will give the instruction. Then after half an hour, we can all leave the Zoom meeting. And you are on your own. Okay, you can answer in your own words. You can refer to any materials. But you are not allowed to share your answers with your friends. Tidak boleh minta tolong kawan-kawan untuk jawab bagi pihak masing-masing, ya. So perlu jawab sendiri. Okay, any question?
Prof, dalam membuat model di Smart PLS ini untuk moderating variable, is it possible to have more than one moderating variable in our model?
Yes, it is possible. However, it will be very complicated. It will be, it's like the work is double. Yeah. To have one moderating variable itself, you need to explain the theory behind it. Then you need to analyze, then report the finding. If you have 2 moderating variable, then you need to explain again about the second moderating variable and then you need to analyze, and then you need to discuss the findings. So if you ask me, for the purpose of PhD thesis, please avoid two moderating variables. Just choose one that you think is most significant, because it'll be a very long analysis, yeah. For example, this one, for one moderating, if you have 4 independent variables, right? Then that means you will need to test 1, 2, 3, 4 hypotheses, right? So if you have another one up here, then that means you have to test another 4 hypotheses. So it'll be very long. And remember that usually not all variable, not all hypothesis is supported, right? For example, let's look at this one, H5D. H5D, hypothesis 5D, it says Islamic religiosity moderates the relationship between moral obligation and intention. Right. H5C, hypothesis 5C says Islamic religiosity moderates the relationship between perceived behavioral control and intention. H5B says Islamic religiosity moderates the relationship between subjective norm and intention. So if the hypothesis is not supported, then you need to defend. The examiner will ask you, why, Dr. Saiful, the hypothesis 5B is not supported? Oh, you have big headache. How you justify? Imagine if you have another moderating variable. It's a lot of work to justify. That. If it moderates, then I think it's easier to justify. If the moderating effect is not supported, then you might have a headache to explain why it is why the hypothesis is not supported, and you have to relate to the context of your research, and you want to relate to the respondents. It's kind of difficult. So think about passing the PhD first before doing something that is very difficult to justify. That's my opinion. Okay, good question. So for the purpose of exam, I will give you the link later. Just remember the date, this Saturday at 9 a.m. And please remind everybody to attend the Zoom meeting, yeah? Because according to the rule of exam, all students must attend the Zoom meeting. Otherwise, the exam cannot be done. We will start only after everybody attends the meeting. I will give you the link later. Okay, any other question? If not, I would like to finish this class earlier because I need to do something. I need to go shopping. No, I need to buy something for my family. Okay. So if there is no further question, that's all the class. Inshallah, this Saturday we will meet. I will update you about your assignment, and I will give you instruction on how to answer the final exam. Then I will give you the questions in Google Classroom and also in WhatsApp. And you'll be given 48 hours. So there is no reason why you cannot answer. Yeah? Even if you don't know the answer, you still have time to study. Yeah? So, inshallah, I make dua that everybody will pass this class. And inshallah,
Amin.
next semester, we can go for Colloquium 1. For those of you who have not done so. Mungkin semua belum lagi ya, Colloquium 1. Yeah, Colloquium 1, you just submit assignment 1 to Dr. Tahir. And then he will set the date. Hopefully in February or March next year. Okay. Terima kasih semua. InsyaAllah kita akan jumpa on Saturday at 9 AM Malaysian time, insyaAllah. So any questions you can still ask in the WhatsApp group. I'm sorry I have to leave the class early. Okay. Terima kasih. Jazakumullah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih, Prof.
Terima
Syukran, bro.
kasih.
Terima kasih, Bro.